Imagine this: you wake to the sound of rain tapping against your window, a steady rhythm that feels like the universe whispering a secret. You stretch your muscles stiff from another night of restless sleep, and for a fleeting moment, everything is calm. Then it hits you, the weight of yesterday's kindness. You lent your last $200 to a friend who swore they'd pay you back. They didn't. You stayed late again to cover a co-worker's shift. They didn't thank you. You swallowed your pride and apologized to someone who wronged you, just to keep the peace. They took it as weakness. And now, as you stare at the ceiling, a question coils around your throat like a noose. Why does being good feel like losing? Kindness is supposed to be sacred. It's the moral compass we're taught to follow from childhood. Be generous, be patient, turn the other cheek. But what if the truth is darker? What if every act of selflessness chips away at your boundaries, your sanity, your future? What if kindness, in a world that rewards cunning, is the slowest form of self-destruction? Consider the paradox. The more you give, the more others take. The more you forgive, the more they repeat their offenses. The more you sacrifice, the less they value you. And yet, here's the cruelest twist: you can't stop. Because if you do, you become the villain in their story. The moment you say no, you're selfish. The moment you demand fairness, you're unreasonable. The moment you protect yourself, you're the one who's changed. So you smile, you give, you bleed, and the cycle continues. But what if the problem isn't kindness itself, but how we wield it? What if the real danger lies in believing that virtue requires martyrdom, that love means never setting boundaries, that goodness means never saying enough? The Stoics knew this tension well. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor who ruled an empire but still scribbled private reminders to himself: waste no more time arguing what a good man should be born. But how do you be good without being devoured? Is it possible to be kind without being naive, to be generous without being exploited, to love without losing yourself? Or is every act of kindness just another brick in a prison you built with your own hands? The rain outside grows heavier. Somewhere a stranger is smiling because of you. Somewhere a person you helped is forgetting your name. Somewhere a line is being crossed and you're the only one who sees it. What will you do when the choice comes? Keep giving pieces of yourself until nothing remains, or learn the difference between virtue and surrender? The answer will ruin you, one way or another. But here's the real question: which kind of ruin will you choose? You are standing in a crowded subway car, pressed shoulder to shoulder with strangers. The air is thick with exhaustion, resentment, the unspoken tension of people who have nowhere to look but down. A man shoves past you, muttering under his breath your first instinct is anger. How dare he? But then, almost immediately, shame. Why did I take that personally? This is suffering, not the shove itself, but the storm it unleashes inside you. The Stoics understood this with terrifying clarity. Epictetus, born a slave, crippled by his master's cruelty, wrote, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them." In other words, the world does not hurt you. Your judgments about the world do. Think of the last time kindness backfired. You expected gratitude and received indifference. You hoped for fairness and were met with exploitation. You trusted and were betrayed. The pain didn't come from the act of giving. It came from the silent contract you wrote in your mind. If I am good, the world will be good to me, but the world does not negotiate. It does not care about your expectations, and when reality tears up that contract, you suffer, not because of what happened, but because you believed it should not have happened. Marcus Aurelius, ruling an empire on the brink of plague and war, forced himself to repeat, "The obstacle is the way." Not a platitude, a weapon. Every betrayal, every act of ingratitude, every moment where kindness seems to fail, these are not proof that virtue is useless. They are the gymnasium of the soul. Ask yourself, what if the coworker who takes advantage of you is not an enemy, but a sparring partner? What if the friend who forgets your generosity is not a lesson in cynicism, but in detachment? What if every unfair moment is not life cheating you, but life training you? This is the Stoic inversion. Suffering is not the opposite of peace. It is the path to it. The man on the subway did not make you angry. Your belief that people should be polite did. The friend who didn't repay you did not make you bitter. Your belief that kindness must be reciprocated did. The world will never conform to your demands, but your mind can conform to the world. Seneca, watching Rome burn around him, wrote, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. The question is not how do I avoid pain, but what is this pain here to teach me?" And here lies the fork in the road. Most people spend their lives raging against reality, demanding that life be fair, that people be kind, that virtue be rewarded. They are like sailors cursing the wind instead of adjusting their sails. The Stoic asks a different question. What if I stopped expecting the wind to obey me? What if you gave without needing to be thanked? You loved without needing to be loved back. You acted with integrity, even if no one noticed. Would that not be true freedom? The answer is yes, but it is not the answer you want. Because it means surrendering the most addictive drug of all, the belief that you can control how others treat you. It means accepting a terrifying truth. Kindness does not deserve anything. It is its own reward, or it is nothing at all. The subway doors open. The crowd pushes forward. You could cling to the anger, the resentment, the "it's not fair," or you could let it go. Not because you are weak, but because you are finally strong enough to stop demanding that life kneel before your expectations. The choice is yours, but know this: one path leads to exhaustion, the other to emancipation. Which will it be? You are sitting across from someone you love, a parent, a partner, a childhood friend. Their voice is sharp with frustration, their words laced with accusations. Your chest tightens, your pulse quickens, and then, like a reflex, you do it. You apologize, not because you were wrong, but because it's easier than conflict, because good people forgive, right? Because kindness means keeping the peace at all costs. But deep down in the silence beneath your ribs, something festers. This is the cost of unexamined virtue. History is littered with the wreckage of those who believed that goodness meant self-annihilation. Consider the fate of Rome's Republican idealists, men like Cato the Younger, who watched his peers compromise their principles one practical concession at a time until the Republic was just a hollow word. Or Marcus Brutus, who loved Caesar even as he plunged a dagger into him, convinced that some betrayals are noble. They thought they were being virtuous. In reality, they were just afraid to admit that sometimes kindness is cowardice in disguise. The modern world is no different. You say yes when you mean no because confrontation feels cruel. You tolerate disrespect because holding boundaries seems selfish. You pour yourself into people who drain you because walking away feels like failure. And with every compromise, you become a little less yourself. Epictetus saw this coming 2,000 years ago. No man is free who is not master of himself. But self-mastery doesn't mean endless accommodation. It means the courage to say, this far, no further. Cognitive science confirms what the Stoics knew. Our brains are wired for self-deception. The sunk cost fallacy keeps us trapped in toxic relationships because I've invested too much to quit. Moral licensing lets us excuse our own passivity with the mantra, "I'm the bigger person." And worst of all, compassion fatigue slowly erodes our capacity for genuine kindness, leaving us hollowed out and resentful. This is the paradox of unstoic goodness. The more you tolerate what should be intolerable, the less kindness you actually have to give. The more you fear being unkind, the more harm you allow. The more you prioritize others' comfort over your own integrity, the more you betray everyone, including them. Because here's the truth they never taught you. Real kindness sometimes requires unkindness. Love sometimes demands harshness. And true virtue, it often looks like ruthlessness to those who benefit from your weakness. Marcus Aurelius saw this clearly in his darkest hours. The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injustice, not to out-kind your oppressors, not to kill them with compassion, but to refuse to play their game at all. So ask yourself, when you swallow your words to keep the peace, who truly benefits? When you tolerate the intolerable in the name of kindness, what are you really preserving? When you confuse self-sacrifice with virtue, what monster are you feeding? The answers will terrify you, because they reveal the uncomfortable truth. Much of what we call kindness is just fear wearing a moral disguise. And fear is the one thing no virtuous life can afford. The first time you say no, your hands will shake, not because you're wrong, but because you've spent a lifetime being conditioned to believe that refusal is cruelty, that boundaries are betrayal, that the only way to be good is to disappear into the needs of others. But here's the secret the Stoics carved into their bones: true kindness cannot exist without sovereignty. Seneca, the philosopher who tutored Nero before the emperor turned on him, wrote, "He who has made a fair compact with poverty is rich." Translate this to modern terms: he who has made a fair compact with rejection is free. The revolution begins with a single, blasphemous realization: you are allowed to choose yourself, not as an exception, not as a last resort, but as a fundamental law of existence. Imagine the worst-case scenario, not to despair but to disarm it. What if I set boundaries and they leave? Then they were never yours to keep. What if I'm called selfish? Then let them define the term while you live by your own. What if kindness fails? Then it was never about outcomes, but integrity. The Stoics trained like soldiers, by visualizing defeat, to strip it of its power. When you rehearse rejection before it comes, it arrives as an old acquaintance rather than a mortal wound. Epictetus, dragging his crippled leg through Roman streets, divided the world into two categories: what's within your control, your judgments, your actions, your values; what's not, everything else. Modern translation: you control whether you're kind, you don't control whether others deserve it. You control your honesty. You don't control how it's received. You control your boundaries. You don't control who respects them. This isn't indifference, it's precision. Like a surgeon wielding a scalpel, you cut away the tumors of false responsibility. Nietzsche, the rogue Stoic, distilled it best: my formula for greatness is amor fati, not merely to bear what is necessary, but to love it. When kindness backfires, good. Now I know. When generosity is exploited, excellent. A lesson in discernment. When you're punished for virtue, perfect. A chance to strengthen it. This is alchemy, turning the lead of betrayal into the gold of self-knowledge. History's giants walked this path before you. Socrates drinking hemlock rather than betray his teachings, showing that some principles are worth dying for, but none are worth compromising. Plato the Younger, falling on his sword rather than live under Caesar's rule, proving that sometimes the kindest act is refusing to enable tyranny. Marcus Aurelius, ruling an empire while journaling reminders to be tolerant with others and strict with yourself, embodying the balance between compassion and self-respect. They understood what you're now awakening: to see kindness without self-possession is just self-destruction with good PR. This is your crossroads. One path continues the old lies: that suffering is noble, that exhaustion is virtuous, that you owe the world your depletion. The other demands a courage so fierce it will feel like cruelty at first: to love without losing yourself, to give without guarantee, to be kind from abundance, not desperation. The choice is simple, though not easy. Keep dying by inches, or learn to live by principles. The last lie is the hardest to kill: that you are separate from the world's cruelty. You watch the news, wars, betrayals, the relentless machinery of human indifference, and think, this is not me, I am kind. But the Stoics whisper a darker truth. You are part of the ecosystem that allows it. Every time you tolerate what should be resisted, every time you confuse compliance with compassion, every time you sacrifice your boundaries on the altar of being good, you become complicit in the very brokenness you despair over. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, wrote in the dead of night, "What injures the hive injures the bee. You are the bee, and the hive is on fire." Modern spirituality preaches detachment as transcendence. Rise above, don't react, let go. But the Stoics meant something far more radical. Detachment is not passive. It is the precondition for right action. When Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do," he was issuing a battle cry. And not the hollow activism of social media outrage, not the performative altruism of those who help others to avoid themselves, but the ruthless, focused, unshakable commitment to living by nature's laws. One, justice as a force of nature. The Stoic sage doesn't turn the other cheek. They enforce balance with the inevitability of gravity. If a man steals, he must be stopped, not because you hate him, but because allowing theft corrupts both thief and victim. Your kindness becomes poison when it enables harm. 2. Courage as ecological duty. Seneca watched Rome burn while Nero fiddled. His lesson, sometimes even to live is an act of courage, but real. Courage is specific, saying no to the friend who drains you, demanding fairness from those who love your compliance, refusing to participate in systems that reward cruelty. 3. Wisdom as bloodhound instinct. And see Stoics trained in fantasy, the art of stripping impressions to their bare truth. When someone exploits your kindness, don't think, "Why are they like this?" Ask, "What in me allowed it?" Then address that flaw with unwavering determination. Zeno, founder of Stoicism, taught that fire was the primal element because it transforms everything it touches without being corrupted. This is your model. Burn the contracts you didn't sign, that silent vow to always be the bigger person. Ashes, the belief that suffering makes you noble. Smoke, the idea that love means never causing discomfort. A pyre, let your boundaries scorch the earth. When Cato walked into the Senate alone to oppose Caesar, knowing he would fail, he wasn't being impractical. He was drawing a line in flames. Some principles are worth annihilation. Become what you are. Nietzsche's imperative was pure Stoicism. Become who you are. Not the hollowed out saint, not the resentful giver, but the unapologetic force of nature that kindness actually requires. A forest doesn't ask permission to grow. A river doesn't apologize for carving canyons. And you, human, flawed, temporary, have the same right to exist according to your essence. The world will call this selfishness. Let it. History's true transformers were all selfish. Socrates selfishly refused to stop questioning. Galileo selfishly insisted the earth moved. The abolitionists selfishly wouldn't tolerate chains. Their kindness wasn't soft, it was a blade. You can spend your life at war with human nature, raging when others exploit you, despairing when goodness isn't rewarded, forever shocked that the world won't conform to your hopes. Or you can do the one thing truly within your power. Become the kind of person who doesn't need kindness to be rewarded in order to give it. Not because you're naive, but because you've forged a self that can't be plundered. The rain still falls outside your window. The same choices await, but something has shifted. You finally understand. Kindness doesn't ruin lives. Unstoic kindness does. Now go. The world is waiting to meet the real you. This is your moment. The world needs fewer martyrs and more unbreakable souls who understand that true kindness is power in disguise. If this resonated with you, smash that like button. It tells the algorithm you're ready for more hard truths. Subscribe if you're done with hollow self-help and want philosophy that actually changes how you live. Because the Stoic revolution isn't in books, it's in you. Turn on notifications. The next video will test your limits. Are you ready? PS. Drop a comment below. What's one kindness you'll stop tolerating this week? Let's turn theory into action.